Hi, everybody. Suzanne Snyder Johnson with Sail Beyond Cancer Vermont, Sail Beyond Cancer North Shore, and here once again to share with you some wonderful insights. And today, this is with our cocktail connections. And we were doing this about twice a month now, sometimes a little bit more. But today is really a very interesting subject. I'm going to be bringing on a very dear friend of mine who has been a mom with a child with leukemia, who is now thankfully in remission. And also she herself has also had cancer. And so she's going to share with us some really cool insights about stress and dealing with all of these wonderful emotions. Welcome, Julieta. I'm trying to get my little sling, man.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi. So, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you'd like to share with people today, if you wouldn't mind.
So I am a cancer mom, and leukemia treatment is 3.5 years, and 2 years into my son's treatment, then I got the sentence, right, that I was just diagnosed with cancer. And going through it was intense, of course, and I needed to access ways to self-regulate the profound level of stress and anxiety that happens as a caregiver and as a patient as well. And going through it, they say that you don't really know what somebody else is going through until you go through it yourself. I have been a chiropractor for 20 something years, and I've always worked with people with trauma, and I have my own previous trauma as well, but going through this kind of illuminated the light into what do you do in those moments when you are waiting for results, when you are about to go into a determining scan. The level of terror is superb. And couple of things that helped me is something that I want to share because I think it's of value.
Thank you.
And it's for value if you are the caregiver of somebody who is going through cancer, and or if you are the one who needs to navigate through this diagnosis with as much grace and ease and possible. So one of the things, and I'm speaking as a chiropractor now, is that you have a nerve that exits from the top of the skull, between the top of the skull and the first vertebra. It's called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve, it's associated with the opposite of the fight or flight response, right? So when we are in these moments of high stress, our bodies respond in a protective mode.
Sure.
But it's the blueprint of our ancestors that were running away from a saber-toothed tiger, but the response is still the same. Heart rate increases, breath becomes shallow, pupils dilate, and they're all survival mechanisms, right?
Yeah.
So one way to trick your nervous system into settling down that fight or flight response is by tricking that vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is involved. You want to excite it, or it gets activated in moments of relaxation, right? So that nerve actually goes to all the internal organs. When you breathe deeply in your nose, out your mouth, and you keep your belly soft, it's called soft belly breathing. And this breathing is suggested by James Gordon, who is one of the leading experts of trauma. So you bring the breath to the belly, and you keep the belly soft, and you breathe in like you're smelling flowers and out like you're blowing a candle. And what that breathing pattern does is it tells the vagus nerve, oh, everything is fine. What was I scared about? Look how calm my body is. That means that things are okay.
Right.
So that's just one such, it's so easy
Yeah.
and so accessible for us, for everybody to
Yeah.
just tap into your breathing.
So
It,
I have a question for you because there's so many different thoughts about this. Is there a do you hold your breath for a couple
no,
seconds, or you just no? Okay, so this
not
is
for this.
just is there? How about do you count to 5 or 10 or whatever when you're exhaling? I mean, I'm curious on what if you have any thoughts on that.
There are many different breathing patterns. Honestly, do any that work for you. And there are different schools of thought and different breathing techniques. I'm just sharing one of them.
Okay.
And this one, called the soft belly breathing, just advocates for in your nose, out your mouth, keeping your belly soft, giving your brain, basically tricking your brain into thinking that things are okay. And what that does is it just reduces the anxiety level. Other things that have worked for me is I've always worked with essential oils. And essential oils, the beauty of them is that you just inhale it and let the oil do the magic, because as you bring it up the nasal cavity, it affects the limbic system, which is where emotions and memories are. But you also inhale it into the lungs, and the molecular constituents get absorbed into the bloodstream, going to the cells and creating relaxation and calming the nervous system.
Huh.
There's a lot of research on that.
It's so cool.
It's
No, this is
fascinating.
all great. This is really great to know. And when you were going through this, here you are. You know, you've been practicing these things, and then all of a sudden you find yourself really, oh my gosh, you're dealing with some pretty major stress. Are there any aha moments for you that really came
Yeah.
through? Like, wow, I've been saying these things, but anything else you can share that's real for you? I mean, I've had people reaching out right now and saying, "Gosh, these are really scary moments when you get that diagnosis." Like, everybody remembers that call. Those of us who are cancer patients, like, I know exactly where I was. I was driving. Thank you. But your body goes immediately into shock. So anything you can share would be great.
My big aha, honestly, one of my biggest ahas was um, the understanding of people getting addicted to wanting to be at peace.
Hmm, interesting. What do you mean, Tom? What do you mean?
So nobody wants to feel the terror
Mm-mm.
of that cancer experience.
Mm.
So it's very easy to kind of try to get out of your body and not experience the fear because it doesn't feel good. Fear doesn't feel good. Anxiety doesn't feel good, but it's necessary to experience it.
Interesting.
It's uh, using strategies sometimes for evading the emotions of fear um, may not always be conducive to healing. So there's a fine line between navigating this process with awareness and grace and being in denial and not going through it in a way that allows you to heal as you go through it. Did you follow me?
Yes, I do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that being vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to be vulnerable is part of this. I
Mm-hmm.
remember friends of mine, as I was bald, many of I went through cancer, and I had a dear friend who said, you were actually, it was wonderful to see how vulnerable you allowed yourself to be, because, it's easy for you to just, I'm fine.
Right.
Not so fine.
So
We have
right. So the
1 minute left.
oh man,
I know.
this does go by fast, Suzanne.
Yes, it does.
So
Uh,
the bottom line
yeah,
is
good.
going through a dark time,
Yeah.
and the going through it has the opportunity of allowing you to emerge with an understanding, compassion, and healing and the transformation that can change your life and the life of those around you.
So breathe deeply, everybody. We do have to run. Thank you so much, Julieta. I love
Okay.
you very, very much. And you can get her contact information right below here, and I'll post it right in Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Bye.